What's up, guys? Jesse Jardine with Demigod Ascendancy. So today we're going to do top 5 underrated or forgotten death metal gems or bands or albums by those bands. So this is pretty subjective. Like, you might have heard these bands, probably not though. Honestly, all these bands, well, one of them is probably the biggest one, but yeah, they're all pretty underground. I don't hear a lot of people talk about them, and they're either defunct or not around anymore. So we're just going to start off right now with a band that I found probably within the past year. I had seen this album cover a lot in different spots, released in 1991. Vile Gresham's X-Pound and X-Hort. I don't know what X-Pounding is, but it sounds like some kind of sex move. And X-Hort is pretty close to X-Horter. Other than that, I don't know what the fuck that means. But yeah, this album is fucking awesome. Really cool, really unique. The opening song is just heavy as fuck. Fragmented Carcass. Cross Spells, awesome. That album cover, just a jacked fucking guy like the Hulk, like weird disproportions and shit. So just a heavy ass album. They have a really sad story actually though. They pretty much had a label on this one, and then the label went under and they got on a new label and then had a European tour booked with Death. So European tour with Death in like right when they were exploding, like time to fucking go. So then the album, they're getting ready to go on tour and their label goes defunct again, and then they pretty much get dropped from the tour because they don't have any money. And then as far as I know, they get on another label after that, after missing the European Death tour, and go to record their number 2 album, which is like pretty classic for having the worst production ever. Passage, it's called. It actually has some really cool parts on it, but really, apparently, they did scratch tracks on guitar for this, and the label just took the scratch tracks and mix and mastered the album, if you want to call it mix and mastering, because it sounds like complete shit. So then they fucking did that and just released the album without even letting the band hear it, and they released their scratch tracks. So you want to hear one of the worst recorded albums ever? Check out Passage. So next we have literally like one of my all-time favorite bands, pretty much the sound I based my current band Assimilation off, Oppressor. First 2 albums are amazing. The third album has some of the weakest guitar production I've ever heard. Think Serpents of the Light Deicide, just the weakest guitar tone. But it's pretty sweet. It's a bit more modernized. So I think probably if you want to get into these guys, the first album, Solstice of Oppression, is a fucking really cool place to start. Some of the coolest, like, clean, like, acoustic parts that I definitely want to rip off for my shit. And The Angels Fell has, like, one of the most, like, haunting, weird interludes. As Blood Flows is awesome. Seasons is like definitely in like top 10 death metal songs for me. Heavy as fuck for 94, and the fucking album cover is just fucking amazing. Like, look at that. Fucking so cool. The next album's really cool actually too. I got this actually on disc, but the album cover is just fucking complete trash. Like, what is that, man? Like, it looks like fucking Baldur's Gate 1 or like something like that. Like, fuck, man, I've seen better Sega Genesis fucking covers than that shit. This, I have a hard time choosing between this and the one before it. I almost find this a bit catchier. Gone has like, it's like one of the catchiest choruses ever. Passage and Valley of Thorns I consider to be like a 2-part song. Really fucking good. Sea of Tears, probably the best song on the album. Me and Sasha did a little album review of this and talked about what's with all these bands talking about having fucking seas of tears and shit, especially death metal bands like Pestilence and shit like that. But yeah, like Oppressor, if you only check out one of these bands on this list, Oppressor should be the one. It's pretty funny, they turned into Soil, I think. Yeah, so like, you know, that really crappy rock band, yeah, they turned into that. I guess they all wanted to make money. Also on their Metalum, they probably have the worst band picture I've ever seen in my life. I don't know if they did it on purpose or not, but is what it is. Moving on, we got Nocturnus. So this band is famous for a couple reasons in my mind. First, they're the first band that I know of to mix sci-fi and death metal. There was other bands doing stuff like Voivod or a band called Scanner, but I don't think there was a lot of fucking sci-fi death. So first album is legendary, The Key. So some backstory on this band: Mike Browning was originally in Morbid Angel as the drummer on the EPs and stuff before Trey found Pete Sandoval. So he left, or he got kicked out, and started Nocturnus, where he plays drums as he does vocals, which is pretty interesting. Like, I don't really know many other death metal bands where the drummer also does vocals. That's pretty fucked. The Key, such a fucking crazy album. It's really experimental and weird. Yeah, just like right off the bat, Lake of Fire is amazing. Destroying the Manger, about going back in time to destroy Jesus Christ in his manger. Empire of the Sands is amazing. I honestly think the B-side on this is probably the best. And that album cover, like, buddy, fuck, it's so good. Definitely not as straight ahead as a lot of this other stuff, but pretty fucking sweet. And then, fun fact, the whole band kicked out the original member, Mike Browning, for their second album, Thresholds, which I honestly don't know as well. The album cover is really cool. I haven't listened to this enough, but honestly, The Key is pretty much all you'll need. They have a third album that I haven't heard as well. I'll probably give that a listen directly after this. But I'm trying to keep this to be more like one album or 2 albums. So next we got Convulse from Finland. All the previous bands have been from the States, so, you know, I'm more of a US death metal guy, but I definitely like the odd European death metal band that knows their roots and knows what they're doing. So specifically about Convulse, I really, really enjoy their album, World Without God. Fuck, is that a good album. Just like really straight ahead, no bullshit, just good ass riffs, catchy ass shit. Some of my favorite song titles ever: Putrid Intercourse, Incantation of Restoration, which sounds like some kind of spell in like a fucking Castlevania or some shit. Power Struggle of Belief. Resuscitation of Evilness. All those songs are also probably the best songs on this album. I love the album cover too. It looks really black metal-y, like Frozen Wastes. I wonder if that's a painting of a place actually around them from Finland. I don't know their next albums at all. I've not listened to Reflections. It looks like they start to go in a different direction though based on the album cover, but I could be wrong. But World Without God is pretty much all I need to know about them. Last but certainly not least, we got one of my all-time favorite bands, if you know anything about me, Dim Mak. Sean Kelly, guitar player from Ripping Corpse. So the first album I would say is almost a thrash metal album. Weird like groove drumming, like way ahead of its time. Definitely one of my favorite albums ever. Intercepting Fist is the album that they really hit their stride on for me. It's a good mix of the old thrash where they come from, the new blasting death metal, and a much improved vocal delivery, I think. I can't believe it has a 62% on Metalum. Fun fact, I also tried to write a review for Enter the Dragon on Metalum, but they said that, because I went through and I broke down each track by track, they're like, we don't accept track by track. And then I go on the fucking thing and there's like 100 track by track reviews of different albums. So anyways, you can't always listen to those things. So Intercepting Fist is amazing. Both those have Brandon Thomas, and then after that they got John Longstreth from like multiple crazy death metal bands. To play on Knives of Ice, which is also an amazing album, really fucking heavy.
Liar, liar, set your soul on fire. Liar, liar.
And then the vocalist left for the next album, The Emergence of Reptilian Altars, which I think is alright, not one of my favorite albums.
When all light fades away.
But definitely look for a place to start with Dim Mak, Intercepting Fist. It's almost like the Wu-Tang of death metal, because it's all like Eastern themes and like one punch deaths, and that's what Dim Mak means. It's like the one punch death heart exploder thing. Really interesting stuff. I don't really know any other metal bands that did like Eastern influenced death metal like that. Really cool. Definitely check out Dim Mak. Do not miss that shit. Probably the most like unknown band. They've never really toured or done anything. Sean Kelly went to Hate Eternal for a bit for Fury in the Flames, I believe. But other than that, they've never really got much recognition, and it's a real travesty because, you know, Ripping Corpse is like one of the most legendary bands ever. So, and this came out of that. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to do part 2 of this in a while here. Tune in next week for some more dumb ramblings from my brain and opinions that I hold or may not hold, or that you may hold or may not hold as well. Thanks. Bye.